more attacks on Dubai, an apartment building hit by a missile fragment.
A drone attack hit Dubai airport. The fighting in the Middle East is worsening on several fronts.
It's another blow to the UAE's reputation as an oasis for business and pleasure.
Dubai is over. That's what a wealth manager in Singapore told me this week. Between two calls from clients trying to move millions of dollars out of the Gulf. And yet, 2 weeks ago, Dubai was the #1 destination for relocating millionaires on the planet. Almost 10,000 moved there last year alone, bringing $63 billion with them. The pitch was simple: zero income tax, zero capital gains, world-class infrastructure, and one unspoken guarantee. Whatever happens in the Middle East stays in the Middle East. I don't know if Dubai is really over, but what I can tell you is this. Right now, across Hong Kong and Singapore, private bankers and corporate service firms, just like Statrys, are working day and night processing transfer requests from people who considered Dubai the safest place on earth until last February. Millionaires, entrepreneurs, expats, all of them doing something Dubai had never seen before: living. Not for vacation, not for a business trip, but for good, paying any price just to get out. What broke wasn't the skyline. It was the promise. I'm going to show you exactly what's happening behind the scenes, who's leaving, where the money is actually going, and what this means if you run a business connected to the Gulf. And let me tell you that the next 10 minutes might change how you think about where your business actually belongs. What's happening right now is going to reshape international business for years. This channel covers exactly that, where entrepreneurs are moving, why and how to get it right. We cover the stuff nobody explains clearly. Subscribe right now if you want a real picture, not just the brochure. On February 28, Iran hit Dubai with 137 missiles and 209 drones. You've seen the footage. What you probably haven't seen is what happened inside the business community in the 72 hours that followed. The airport shut down. Dubai's airport isn't just an airport. It's the connective tissue of the entire emirate. When that closed, it didn't just strain tourists, it froze deal flow. Jebel Ali port caught fire. The port is where physical goods enter and leave the Gulf. Many Hong Kong-based companies that use Dubai as a logistic hub saw their shipments frozen in warehouses. Carriers simply refuse to route through the Gulf. 60% of Dubai's revenue comes from its port and its airport. On top of that, the banking system glitched. Amazon's cloud data center in Dubai got hit by a shrapnel from an intercepted drone. Possibly the first time in history a major company's cloud infrastructure was damaged in a war. That triggered technology outage that rippled into banking operation. Two founders I know, both running trading companies between Dubai and Singapore, tried to transfer over $100,000 each to Singapore for risk hedging right after the attacks. The system wouldn't let them. One eventually got through via a different UAE bank. The other had to wait. And then there's the part nobody talks about on the news. The UAE imports 90% of its food. Iran, one of its main suppliers of fresh produce, banned all food export until further notice. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil and a huge share of the region imports travel, dropped 90%. The UAE government says it has 4 to 6 months of food reserves. That's reassuring until you remember that 4 to 6 months is a timeline, not a solution. Fundraising froze. Investment firms started preemptively planning layoffs. International private banks that had been expanding advisory operation in the Emirate started reconsidering whether to serve clients locally or from somewhere else. A portfolio manager at Edmond de Rothschild said there's a 70% probability the region carries a geopolitical risk premium for a long time. None of this made the evening news. But for anyone running an international business connected to the Gulf, this is the real story, not the missiles. The plumbing underneath is breaking. Within days of the first strikes, the call started. Not panic call, calculated ones. We operate in this world every day. Corporate services, company formation, cross-border payments in both Hong Kong and Singapore. So we hear things, and what we're hearing right now is unlike anything in recent memory. Wealth lawyers across Singapore are getting flooded. One of them told us 6 or 7 of its 20 Dubai-based clients reached out in a single week. Average assets $50 million each. 3 are planning immediate transfers. One asked how fast he could move everything to Singapore. Not some of it, everything. Another advisor spoke to 13 UAE-based clients. More than half are serious about relocating. A family office CEO in Hong Kong, who we know well, put it plainly. Asian investors who went to Dubai for tax advantages are rethinking those decisions and moving money back to Hong Kong and Singapore. This isn't a trickle. The UAE held about $700 billion in overseas financial assets last year. Asian capital makes up roughly a quarter of more than the 2,270 foundations set up in the UAE. Asia accounted for 47% of all multinational companies attracted by the Dubai International Chamber in 2025. That pipeline is now under pressure from the people who filled it, and the destinations aren't random. Singapore and Hong Kong share something Dubai had but may have lost: the perception of stability paired with a business-friendly tax regime. No missiles hitting the runway at Changi Airport. No drones over Victoria Harbour. Both cities run on common law, both have deep banking infrastructure, and neither sits across the water from a country currently at war. The pattern isn't new. Beirut was the financial capital of the Middle East until its civil war in the 70s destroyed that image. Bahrain stepped in until Dubai outgrew it. Each time, the same thing happened. The money didn't disappear. It just moved to the next city that could promise safety. The question now is whether Singapore and Hong Kong are the next city, or whether this is a temporary panic that settles once the missiles stop. The honest answer? Probably both. Some of this capital will come back if the conflict ends quickly. Dubai has survived the 2009 financial crisis, when property prices dropped 50 to 60%. It survived COVID, it survived floods in 2024. The city has a track record of bouncing back, but some of it won't come back. Because what changed this time isn't the economy, it's the story. The Dubai entire model was the story. The entrepreneurs and investors who built their setup around Dubai didn't just have money there. They had companies, bank accounts, compliance structures, residency visas, kids in school. Rebuilding that somewhere else is expensive and painful. The fact that people are doing it anyway, right now, in the middle of a conflict at any cost, tells you something about how deep the trust fracture goes. At Statrys, we're seeing this firsthand. Founders calling us to restructure their company setup, open business accounts in Hong Kong and Singapore, reroute their payments. Not in 6 months, this week, now. This channel is where we talk about it, what's happening, what's changing, and what it means for your business. Hit subscribe if you want to stay in the loop. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps more people like you find us. There are dozens of places in the world with low taxes and business-friendly regulation. So why is the money specifically going to Singapore and Hong Kong and not, say, the Cayman Islands, Mauritius, or even London? Because what Dubai offered was never just a tax rate. It was a full operating system, a place where you could incorporate a company in days, open a multi-currency account, fly anywhere in 8 hours, meet your Chinese supplier on Tuesday and your European client on Thursday. A lifestyle, a network, a financial infrastructure, all in one package. Very few cities can replicate that. Singapore and Hong Kong can. Singapore has been quietly building itself into the world's most complete wealth management hub for the past decade. The regulatory framework is tight but clear. You know the rules don't change overnight, and the government doesn't depend on one industry to survive. GDP grew nearly 5% last year. The wealth management sector is expanding fast. Private banks that had been building out Dubai offices are now asking whether Singapore should have been the primary hub all along. And for entrepreneurs from India, Indonesia, Australia, or anywhere in Southeast Asia, Singapore is really the natural gateway. Same time zone, direct flights everywhere, English speaking, and a startup ecosystem that actually works. Hong Kong solve a different problem. If your business touches China in any way, you source products there, you manufacture there, you sell there. There is no real alternative. Hong Kong gives you access to mainland China through a system that still operates under common law. The Greater Bay Area, which connects Hong Kong to Shenzhen and Guangzhou, is where a huge share of the world's consumer goods are actually made. For someone who runs an e-commerce brand sourcing from Chinese factories and selling to Europe, Hong Kong isn't a Dubai replacement. It's the infrastructure layer that was always supposed to be part of the setup. Both cities also share something that sounds boring, but matters enormously when things go wrong. They work. The banking system don't crash when a neighboring country fires missiles. That's the part that Dubai fell on in the most literal way possible. And it's the part that entrepreneurs remember longest. You can rebuild a hotel. Rebuilding trust in a banking system that locked up when you needed it most is a different thing entirely. Right now, entrepreneurs are doing something very structural. They're building what the industry calls a China +1+1 model. Keep production in the Greater Bay Area, open a secondary distribution center in Malaysia, and plant sales team in Europe. 3 weeks ago, none of this was on anyone's roadmap. It's on everyone's now. Relocation advisors are seeing a spike in visas requests. Digital nomad visa, D7 visas, intra-company transfers. Engineers and sales team that were supposed to be in the Gulf are grounded, and their employers want to know how fast they can be redeployed somewhere else. The question they're all asking is the same. Where can my people go and my goods move without depending on a region that's at war? Singapore and Hong Kong are making that pitch right now. Not loudly, they don't need to. The wealth advisors there aren't running ad campaigns, they're just picking up the phone. Will all the Dubai money land there? No. Some will go back once the situation calms down. The Maktoum family didn't build all of this to walk away from it. But some of that money is gone for good, because the people who are living right now aren't making a financial calculation. They're making an emotional one, and trust, once broken, doesn't come back on a spreadsheet. It comes back slowly, or it doesn't come back at all. That's the lesson here. Not Dubai bad, Singapore good. The lesson is that the world has been telling entrepreneurs for years that you can pick up one hub and build your whole life around it. Last week proved that wrong in the most expensive way possible. So, if you're sitting somewhere right now, in Europe, the US, in Dubai, running a business that depends entirely on one setup in one country, this is your window. Not to panic, to architect. If you're in Dubai right now, you've already left, or you're rethinking your world setup, drop your situation in the comments. I read every single one. And honestly, those comments are part of what makes this channel work. You share what you're going through, we share what we're seeing from the inside. The money moves, the company restructure, the stuff that doesn't make the news but changes everything for entrepreneurs like you. That's why you should subscribe. Thank you for watching.